Welcome to the episode of Jay Leno's Garage. Now, before we get into this particular car, I'll tell you a little story. I was on the web the other day. You know, the great thing about the web, unlike TV, I can find stuff I actually want to watch. And I saw this fantastic documentary called urban-outlaw.tv. It's a great documentary about this guy named Magnus Walker. He builds Porsches, he races them, he restores them. Well, let's meet him. Magnus, come on in. Hi, buddy. How you doing?
Hey, Jay. Great to meet you.
I really enjoyed your documentary. You know, the great thing about living in L.A. is all these little enclaves where guys are doing cars and motorcycle stuff. And I was not aware of you until I saw this wonderful short film. It's a half hour, but it's really fascinating. It's about your life and your dedication to Porsches. Now, tell us about this car you brought today.
Well, this car I've owned since 1999. It actually started life as a 1971 911T. It's since been sort of modified and developed, and I built myself a streetable race car.
Now tell us what you've done to the car. It's a 2.4 liter engine, correct?
Yeah, that's not standard. Originally this car would have had a 2.2. It's currently
Right.
running a 2.4S twin plug motor with approximately 180 horsepower.
Wow.
The car is not the fastest car out there, but it's been developed over the past 10 years into a streetable, trackable race car. It's lowered, it's got stiffer suspension, it's got a limited slip,
Right.
but it is still streetable. But as you can see, I like racing around on Hoosiers. What I love about this car is, I describe it as my favorite pair of old shoes.
Right.
You know, it's got the great patina, which to me is earned the hard way from actually racing.
Right.
I've sort of become known as this outlaw 911 guy by doing a lot of cool little details that are not normally found on early 911s.
Have you ever sold a car?
Yeah, I've sold quite a few
Right.
cars. I've sort of been fortunate that because of the following that I've built, I've never really had to advertise them.
Well, let's take us through it. So what do we have here? As you see, all obviously stock custom wheel.
It's a Momo steering wheel
It's
that
a Momo,
I've
okay.
had on the car for about 10 years. The interior, apart from the roll bar and the seats, is actually stock because the class that I was competing in with the Porsche Owners Club was a production class, modified production class.
I like the drilled pedals.
Yeah, the drilled pedals add lightness, and as you know, lightness just makes you faster.
And then as a pure race car, you got a nice stereo system.
Yeah, I got the
in
stereo in the back. I have no radio up front, but that was one of those things that just stayed with the car. You know?
Right.
I never fully stripped it out, but I've driven this car to Laguna Seca and back numerous times. Done a lot of track days at Willow Springs. And
Well, let's open up the engine and take a look, see what we got here.
unlike the cars that I'm restoring, this car, as I say, I was always one of those guys that would say dirt does not slow you down. You know?
Right.
So it was, nothing's really polished on it, but it's functional. It's like a streetable race car. When you see factory race cars, all the iconic cars,
Right.
a lot of them, you know, they're not over-restored cars. This is the same type of thing. It's currently running, as you can see, a twin plug on a 2.4S.
These early cars are getting quite expensive now, aren't they?
Yeah, the early cars are, these are the cars that you could pick up inexpensively a dozen years ago, but I think with the upcoming 50th anniversary of the 911, there's a whole lot of speculative people getting into the early 911 mark, and prices have doubled, if not tripled, in the past 18 months.
What's the earliest 911 you have?
Well, it's a great question, Jay. I own a 64 911, which
Wow.
is, as I say in the film Urban Outlaw, it's the beginning of the 911. Without that car, none of the iconic cars
Right.
that followed
And that, of
would have
course,
come.
was the short wheelbase.
Yeah, the short wheelbase. I've actually have a passion for short wheelbases. I've got one of every year from 64 through
Wow.
68 on the short wheelbase. But you know, the great thing about this car, it just sort of makes you drive harder to get the most out of the car.
Right,
That's sort
right.
of why I didn't go big whammy motor.
Yeah, I
You know,
agree.
originally I was competing in a certain displacement class.
Now, I know besides the Urban Outlaw movie, you've got a lot of videos on YouTube. How do they find those?
Well, basically, you can go to MagnusWalker911.com. You can see everything that I'm working on, that I'm building, how I refinish my rims, how I do all my signature touches, such as drilling door handles and louvered deck
Right,
lids
right.
and integrated turn signals.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to take this car for a ride in a minute or two, but we're going to show you his shop. He's got a really cool shop in downtown LA. Take a look.
Hey Jay, welcome to my garage in beautiful downtown LA. Let's go take a look and kick some tires. So let's go check it out. We'll see what all the fuss is about behind this door. Welcome. So So basically this is where I house most of my drivable early 911 Porsches. Here I'll be able to show you sort of what separates my cars from a lot of the other early 911 builds that are out there currently. One of the many great things I love about Porsches is the whole hunt and thrill of the chase of the car. It always starts online. Then I acquire the car. This one happens to be a very early 65 911 that I've had for a few years. I've yet to start restoring it. So basically I will start with a car like this. If you come over here, the car that's on the dolly is a short wheelbase 67S. This is sort of a great example of a car that's almost ready to go to paint and body, as opposed to this one, which is a car that's come back from paint and body. This is my 72 911 STR that is in the final stages of restoration. A couple of the cool touches that I'm being known for are the integrated front turn signals that are grafted in right here at the front. So I'm sort of building these streetable race cars with all these cool whammy race touches, the center hood filler gas tank. So if you step around here, these are the grafted in R turn signals, the louvered deck lid, the plexi windows. Another one of my signature touches, the drilled door handles right here. The drilled out front bumper for cooling. Now inside here, you saw how it looked on the 67S over there pre-paint. This is how it looks when it's finished. We've done a battery relocation into the smuggler's box. And you see what I'm doing here, the whole inside is painted flat black with the exception of the center hood filler gas tank, which is becoming its own centerpiece of art within the trunk. We'll open up and see what's going on in the rear. This one happens to be a freshly built short stroke 3.2 MFI motor. You'll see we've got an external oil cooler all the way to the front. We've got early turbo brakes, all fully redone. We've got 80mm studs, vented disc brakes. If you come around here, you see we've got the fully adjustable RSR sway bars right here with the drop links. Everything's powder coated, CAD plated. Same type of thing going on here at the back. Everything's fully adjustable, all new components. And so basically we're building a streetable hot rod race car. You know, from 69 onwards, the mirror is glued onto the windshield. I really prefer this early backdated retro touch right here. So it's subtle, doesn't jump out. This is a rim that's not really found on early 911s. Most people tend to really favor the Fuchs. Ironically, I've been refinishing all my own Fuchs right here. This is my own finish. Sort of an RSR finish, but with a polished lip. We still have a little bit of work to do, but I'm backdating the gauges to resemble early gauges. In the film Urban Outlaw, I talk at great detail about building my own leather door pull straps. Just the little touches that just separate, yet again, my builds from other builds. These two cars are only separated by 1 year, but in a sense, this is like a monster version of my streetable race car. So thanks for coming on down and allowing me to show you some of the cool details that I'm putting into my Outlaw early 911 builds.
You know, we're going to do some more of his cars in the future. Maybe next time you come over, bring one of the cars that you've done some of your custom touches to.
Yeah, and that way I can show you all the details.
Yeah, I'd love to
like
see
the
those.
louvered deck lids.
And as I said, you can see some of those custom touches in that Urban Outlaw film. It's on the web, it's free, you can download it. And it's just a half-hour film, but it's really fascinating. It shows his great shop. He's also a clothes designer and an artist as well. And you know, I always like artists that restore cars because they put little touches in it that make it interesting. Make them unique and personal. That's the way to do it.
The car really has never been restored. It's been constantly developed. The great thing about this car is I could leave here right now and be at Willow Springs, you know, basically in less than an hour.
Yeah.
And as you can see, I've got my gig bag ready to go.
Yeah.
I got my race helmet ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
I have my race shoes ready to go. You can't go without a toolkit.
Right.
So I have that. And you can't go without a deck chair for those downtimes in between the run sessions.
You got to have the deck chair.
So basically that is it. You know, as I said earlier, the car's never been restored. Ironically, gold is the original color of the car.
Oh, I see.
You can see I've relocated a lightweight battery to the smuggler's box.
And this is all original as well, eh?
No, that's a reproduction tank,
but
it's a replica of the original.
Right, right, right. Very good. Well, let's do some outlawing.
Let's go for a drive.
Let's take it for a spin. It's funny, old cars are always so much more fun to drive to me than modern cars. Because modern cars, although they do everything really well, there's a disconnect. You know, this car feels very direct. There's no power steering. Obviously, there's a booster on the brake, but I mean, everything is related to input in, input out.
Right.
You know,
The driver's controlling where the car goes.
You really control where the car goes, and it has more than adequate power. It's not crazy power where you put your foot in, you're sliding. I mean, to me, the cars that are most fun, like my 356 twin cam, is you can use all the power all the time.
Right.
Just keep your foot in it and hear it rev. It's really a lot of fun, and this is a classic example of that.
That's what this car's all about. You got to work hard to get the most out of it, but it's a rewarding experience.
And it feels like a race car. What a sound!
That's what it's all about.
You know, I'm not a race car driver, but it's fun to drive a car that makes you feel like one, and this one certainly does. Much as I love my McLaren with its fancy suspension, this old school stuff is really a lot of fun. It's really fun to use a proper gearbox. The nice thing is it's not obnoxiously loud. It's just loud enough to enjoy. You know, this car is nicely balanced. You know, so many cars now have almost too much power. This, you can use all the power all the time. It just has a nice feel. You know, it's like when I compared a while back, that 302 Mustang to the 660 horsepower Mustang. I like the 302 better because it just felt like a better package. And 180 horsepower in a car this light, it's really all the power you need. Let's take it up on the freeway and let's see if we can at least get it in fourth gear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fourth sounds good, maybe even fifth. That'd be great. There's that kick in the pants coming in.
Nice thing is, you'll probably get pretty good mileage in this thing.
You know, it's funny, Jay, gas mileage is one of those things I never really worry about in a Porsche.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's miles per hour or miles per gallon. That's what I go on, not miles per gallon.
You know, the fun thing about this car is the amazing stability at the freeway at high speeds. It just tracks so nicely. I mean, these Hoosier tires are probably a little dicey in the rain, aren't they?
Yeah, they're no fun in the rain, but on a dry road like this, my favorite word is, who's your daddy?
Yeah, who's your daddy? That's right. All right. Well, what a thrill this is. I want to thank Magnus Walker. And listen, we're going to, once again, go watch his film, Urban Outlaw. It's really exciting, and you get a chance to see his shop, and you saw his shop here today with us as well. But you saw some of the cars he had down in his shop. We're going to bring those up and road test them and go over them a little bit more and show you some of the kind of cool little artistic things that he does to his vehicles. Magnus, thank you, my friend.
Thanks, Jay. It's been a pleasure.
Great fun. Great fun. See you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching.